The crypto fear and greed index went from a 78 of extreme greed from last week, now down to a 55 of moderate greed this week. So market sentiment is definitely starting to shift, obviously because we saw a pretty tremendous drop in the market recently. What Bitcoin is doing right now is actually not very different from what it did in 2017. These types of quick momentum shifts to the downside are pretty commonplace in a bull market. It's actually not a bad thing to have these sharp declines in a bull market because it actually ends up strengthening the overall market, right? It gets rid of weak hands and creates a stronger support base on the way up. There's a lot of reasons why I think this bull market is really just getting started, that we will see a lot more upside over time. So let's just go ahead and dive into the charts and discuss all of this in today's video. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Kevin Svenson, and today we're gonna be talking about the price of Bitcoin. Also, you may notice that I got a new microphone. Definitely smash that like button for the new microphone. And today I also want to take a look at a thread that Bob Lucas, a Bitcoin analyst that I definitely look up to, something that he just posted about Bitcoin. So here I'm looking at the Bitcoin chart on the daily, and the white line is the $20,000 previous all-time high from 2017 that we broke above last December. And since then, we have actually seen about 150% up. So since the all-time high break, Bitcoin has made 150% progress at this current point in time. So overall, can't complain too much. It's actually been quite good, and Bitcoin's price is still pretty high. We're just below 50,000. And this current correction for Bitcoin brought us down about 26%, 27%. In 2017, we saw 40% corrections were standard. So you have to imagine how difficult it was to actually hold through that. It wasn't easy to hold through that. And if we're looking at this area here, I mean, it's not really all that different. Now, looking at the weekly chart for Bitcoin, we sort of exited this trend, traded sideways at the top, and we've had now this momentum shift down. I think that this momentum shift down is probably going to be limited to the downside. I don't think it's going to last all that long. And there's a few metrics that are showing me that even though we are, getting a short-term momentum shift, we're probably going to get bought up and actually continue this bull market and break into a new all-time high. I'm pretty confident in this for a few reasons. One of them being that the balance on exchanges is still on a steady decline. The whales, the big players, the big holders for Bitcoin are not the ones causing the dump necessarily, right? Generally, most big players, most whales are still holding their Bitcoin. Until we see a rapid increase of balance on exchanges going into a blow off top, because that's what I would think would happen at the peak of a market cycle, is balance on exchanges would rapidly increase going into the peak, right? Because that's how you'll know that, okay, Bitcoin is going on exchanges and being sold. It's not happening yet. So this is one metric that makes me more confident that the bull market is not over. And also the MVRV Z-score, this is something that also complements the balance on exchange metric. The MVRV Z-score uses blockchain analysis to identify periods where Bitcoin is extremely over or undervalued relative to its fair value. So it's taking all this on-chain data about where Bitcoin is sitting at what price did it get moved last, right? It has all this data. And let me just remove myself from the screen here so we can see this. This is quite interesting. Usually when a bull market ends, like we saw before, balance on exchanges goes up. Then the Z-score, the red line, spikes going into the peak. And so we can see from both balance on exchanges and the Z-score, we are not getting the on-chain data that suggests a market cycle top, right? I think that we're just seeing a lot of bearish speculation here, just based off of the hash rate seeing one of the biggest drops it's ever seen. We saw that the other day, and that caused a tumble of the price. So I don't see this as being the end. I think that we will likely see maybe some more downside, but ultimately we have much more upside for this bull market for Bitcoin. Bob Lucas made an interesting post today on Twitter. Actually, this is pretty recent, about 51 minutes ago, where, well, I can't read the whole thing. He wrote up a ton of stuff here. And he has some interesting ideas about what's going on. He was saying that his outlook a couple weeks ago was that he thought we were going to see a surge in price up to 80K or 100K, which is actually what my impression was. And you know, there was a lot of analysts who were looking for this next major surge, and we didn't get it. Regardless, we got a shift in momentum. And Bob Lucas is saying that it's a failed cycle. He's saying we are now getting our first failed cycle since March 2020, the Black Swan event. The steep trajectory was lost. And he's saying very simply, the rally that started back in October 2020 has more than likely ended. It also tells me a deeper consolidation is unfolding. This is the ebb and flow. So he describes it as a failed cycle, but he's also saying that he thinks it will continue, that we're going to see maybe a further correction down, followed by consolidation at lower prices, maybe closer to 42K, before then running up again. But anyway, going back to something else that Bob said, Bob says, if you're worried about this being a major top, then you're probably just in too deep. And he says, my suggestion remains, take it easier, take a step back, focus on the big picture, and rein in your expectations. And I think that's kind of what everyone's doing right now. Reining in our expectations. We're being humbled by the market once again. Overall, Bitcoin's performance is absolutely incredible, right? Even though Bitcoin lost its steep trajectory here, I mean, I guess it was kind of crazy to expect Bitcoin to just hold that steep trajectory, even though it seemed like it was going to happen. Now we're losing that. We're getting a short-term momentum shift. And there's a few reasons why I think this is only going to be a short-term momentum shift before we find support, get some accumulation going before the next major parabolic advance. And one of those things is the volume signature right now. So a lot of people are asking, you know, is this a blow off top? Did the market cycle just end? One thing you'll notice about previous blow off tops is that they end with a rapid increase and rapid decline, right? With a huge spike in volume. Like 2017, we spent, you know, 2 weeks at the top. Right? Just 2 weeks at the top, rapid up, rapid down, with the volume going all the way up with it, trending upward. 2019, we spent less than 1 week at the top, less than a week at the top with just a wick, with volume leading up, trending up with the price action. That's a blow off top, right? Here, it's not really like that. Bitcoin ran up to this area and ended up spending multiple months going sideways. Multiple months going sideways on a volume decline. That is completely different. That is technically not a blow off top. And I would say that's likely not a market cycle top, which is also why I think the Pi cycle top will be proven wrong, because the Pi cycle top is here to predict market cycle highs. And I think that this is just a short-term momentum shift in a larger trend. You know, this is just my opinion right now, but I just wanted to throw that out there because I think it's interesting. If Bitcoin does bounce up and breaks out in the not so distant future, right, maybe in a few weeks, and we create a new high from this point, the Pi cycle top will be proven wrong because it's not a market cycle top. What I see the Pi cycle top being useful for is judging if a market is, you know, too bullish or something. Though I don't think this will be a long-term market cycle peak indicator. It'll probably just be like an overheating indicator. But anyway, guys, yeah, this is not a blow-off top right here, right? Bitcoin is not experiencing a blow-off top. We traded sideways. We had a decline in volume. It was not a climax in emotion necessarily. So yeah, I do expect this bull market to continue from here. And interest in crypto is only increasing. And I think for Wall Street to want to launch the ETF, they're going to want to pump the price of Bitcoin sky high as they possibly can, so they can be certain that it's overvalued, and then they can short the market. I think that's very likely the plan here for the Bitcoin ETF. So I think Wall Street is going to keep getting involved in increasing their exposure to Bitcoin going into the ETF launch. Once that ETF launches, everybody on Wall Street is going to want a little piece of that pie. So I do think we're going to continue to see money come into this market. One thing that is a bit concerning right now is the weekly MACD. We are getting this cross here. And historically, this bearish cross for the weekly MACD does indicate the end of a market cycle, right? So if we do get, you know, a major cross here, that could signal a longer term correction, Possibly. You know, maybe it's just a fake out. We'll see what happens. I'm more so focused on the market structure and the price action rather than the indicators. That's always how I've been. So I'm definitely going to keep an eye on this, right? I'm definitely going to keep an eye on this. I also still see some similarities between this area here where we had Wyckoff distribution with some sideways action. I still see some similarities. So I'm not necessarily going to get too bearish. Maybe we do end up catching some support and trading sideways, getting some accumulation before continuing up. Something like that is totally possible. And a scenario like this would actually be along the lines of what Bob Lucas was talking about on his thread here, where we, you know, maybe bounce up, get another lower low, get some more accumulation before the next leg up. Yeah, something like that is totally possible right now. And if you see Bitcoin at that 42K level, yeah, I would say that's a great area of accumulation. Even right now is a good area of accumulation. But that's going to be it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope this video maybe relaxed you a little bit, kept your mind focused on what really matters. It's not all about staring at the 15-minute chart and watching every move, right? Zoom out, relax a little bit, see the big picture, see where things could be headed. Maybe take some action, accumulate some coins that you wanted at lower prices. Not financial advice. Definitely smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next video.